Think you need a big backyard to grow berries? You don't. In fact, some of the best berry harvests that you can get don't come from a garden bed at all. They come from containers. Because when you grow berries in pots, you're not just planting, you're designing the exact environment that they need to thrive. That means better soil, better control over water, fewer pests, and often healthier plants overall. Today we're going to deep dive how to actually grow raspberries, blueberries, and blackberries in containers, not just to survive, but to produce real harvests. Now, before we break down each plant, it's important to note what a lot of beginners miss. Berry plants are not difficult because they're hard to grow. They're difficult because they're very specific. Blueberries are not just plants that like soil, they're ericaceous plants, meaning they require acidic soil chemistry to even absorb nutrients properly. Raspberries and blackberries are technically bramble crops. They are naturally aggressive, spreading plants that are constantly trying to expand and colonize space. So when you grow them in containers, you're actually solving two problems at once. You're controlling soil chemistry and you're controlling their behavior, unlike this one back here. Blueberries are where container gardening really shines. Not because they're easy, but by growing them in containers allows you to exactly hone in their needs. Blueberries grow as slow-forming woody shrubs with a fibrous, shallow root system. They don't send out runners, and they don't aggressively spread. Instead, they gradually build a rounded bush structure made of multiple canes emerging from the base. Most container varieties stay compact, typically between 2 and 4 feet, although older plants can reach slightly larger depending on genetics and pruning. One of the most underrated traits of blueberries is their seasonal transformation. Bell-shaped flowers in spring, deep blue fruit in summer, fiery red foliage in fall, and structured silhouette in winter. So they're not just productive, they're ornamental all year round. Blueberries will survive in many soils, but they'll only thrive in acidic soils. They require a pH range of about 4.5 to 5.5. At higher pH levels, the plant cannot absorb iron properly, which leads to yellowing leaves and weak growth. This is the #1 reason why blueberries fail in the garden. Containers fix this completely because you can build a controlled acidic mix using peat, bark, and ericaceous potting soil. When choosing blueberries for container gardening, compact varieties are always the best option. Top Hats is one of the most popular container blueberries because it stays naturally small, typically just reaching 1 to 2 feet tall, which is ideal for very small patios or balconies. For this variety, a container of at least 12 to 14 inches wide and deep is usually enough. For gardeners looking for both ornamental and fruiting varieties, pink icing is the one to go for. It grows larger, around 3 to 4 feet tall, with beautiful seasonal foliage changes and solid yields. Because of its size, it performs best in a container that is at least 18 to 24 inches wide and deep, ideally larger if you want long-term growth. Even though they are self-pollinating, if you plant a different variety of blueberry nearby, you'll get better yields. When planting, always keep the root crown at the same level as the nursery pot when planting. Blueberries dislike deep root planting because they need oxygen at surface levels to thrive. Place the container in full sun at least 6 to 8 hours. Water consistently, but the key word is consistently, not volume. Blueberries have a fine surface root that dry out quickly, so irregular watering can do more damage than slightly imperfect watering. In the first season, focus on establishment, not fruit. Removing some early flower buds actually increases long-term yield because the plant redirects energy into root and cane development. Mulching with bark helps stabilize both moisture and soil acidity over time. Blueberries are light but specific feeders. They prefer ammonium-based acid-forming fertilizers rather than general-purpose high nitrogen feeds. Overfeeding nitrogen leads to huge leafy growth but poor fruiting. If you're finding this video helpful and inspiring, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and follow us for more as we produce these kind of videos every week. Raspberries are often misunderstood in containers. People assume that they need space, but what they actually need is control. Raspberries grow from a central crown and produce upright canes. These canes are biennial, meaning they grow in year 1, fruit in year 2, and then die back. The plant continuously replaces old canes with new canes, creating a rotational cycle of new growth. In containers, this growth becomes much easier to manage because suckering is naturally restricted. Most container raspberries stay between 3 and 5 feet tall, depending on the pruning and variety. In the ground, raspberries spread aggressively through underground runners, like what you can see behind me. This one kind of got away on us. In containers, that behavior is contained naturally, meaning you can enjoy the plant without it taking over your garden. Raspberries need more root space than blueberries because of their cane system and the different nutrient demands. Fall Gold is an everbearing raspberry that produces sweet golden fruit and grows around 4 to 5 feet tall. It performs best in a large container of at least 18 to 20 inches wide and deep, with room for root. Heritage is one of the most reliable everbearing raspberries, known for strong growth and consistent harvests. It's slightly more vigorous, so it benefits from a little bit more space. A 20 to 24 inch wide and deep container is ideal, especially if you want long-term productivity. Both varieties also benefit from a simple stake or trellis to help support the cane as it grows and starts to bear fruit. Plant at the same depth as a nursery pot and water deeply. Place in full sun. Raspberries are high-energy fruiting plants that require lots of light to produce the sugars they need for their fruit. As canes grow, support them early. This is important because once fruit develops, the weight can cause bending or breakage. Water is especially critical during flowering and fruit swelling stages. Inconsistency here directly affects berry size and sweetness. The biggest confusion with raspberries is pruning. Some varieties fruit on prima canes, which means first year growth, others on floricanes, meaning second year growth. Knowing your type changes everything. Incorrect pruning can literally remove your entire harvest. If you're looking to start your own berry container garden, be sure to check out our online store. We have an awesome amount of varieties that are ready to ship across Canada, or come visit us right in store at Wildwood Outdoor Living. Blackberries are often considered too aggressive for small spaces, so that's why containing them is the best idea. Blackberries produce long, arching canes that can be upright, semi-erect, or trailing depending on the variety. Even compact varieties are naturally vigorous and can quickly fill a container. Unlike raspberries, many blackberry canes can live and fruit for multiple years depending on the type, but they still require renewal pruning. In containers, the most modern varieties stay around 3 to 4 feet when managed properly. In the ground, blackberries can become invasive very quickly. In pots, their vigor becomes an advantage instead of a problem. You can train them vertically, control spread, and maximize fruit production per square foot. Blackberries are the most vigorous of the three, so choosing the right container is important. Baby cakes is specifically bred for container growing. It stays compact at around 3 to 4 feet tall and is very manageable for patios. It performs well in a large 18 to 24 inch container, depending on how long you plan to keep it. Black Satan is a more vigorous and produces heavier crops, but still adapts well to container life when managed correctly. For this variety, a 24 to 30 inch wide and deep container is strongly recommended, along with a sturdy trellis or support system. The more space you give blackberries, the better long-term yield you'll get. Blackberries will need a strong structure from day one. Install a trellis or support system at planting, not later. As canes grow, tie them loosely to encourage vertical structure and airflow. This is important because dense blackberry growth traps moisture, which can increase disease pressure. They need full sun to develop sweetness and reduce acidity in fruit. Water deeply and consistently, especially during fruit formation. Blackberries are heavier feeders than both blueberries and raspberries, especially when they start producing strong fruiting canes. They respond best to soil that is already rich in organic matter rather than consistent synthetic feeding. This is why mixing in compost at planting time is so important. It acts as a slow-release nutrient base throughout the season. In early spring, as new canes begin active growth, this is the most important feeding window. At this stage, the plant is building its structure that will later carry fruit, so it benefits from a balanced fertilizer or compost top dress that supports both nitrogen for cane growth and potassium for overall plant strength. As flowers begin to form, the focus should shift away from growth and towards fruit development. Over-fertilizing at this stage, especially with high nitrogen, can actually reduce fruit quality by pushing excessive leafy growth instead of berry production. Growing berries in containers completely changes what's possible in small spaces. Once you harvest your first container-grown berries, you'll understand something important. It was never about space. It was about understanding the plant. If this guide helped you, be sure to subscribe for more deep diving content that we issue every week. And let us know in the comments below, what kind of berry are you going to try planting this season?